So I'm doing an experiment. Can you guys help me out? Can you all stand up? And then when I say go, I want you to jump. Okay, go. All right, thanks so much. Now, because my camera is in my hands, if you can also take a picture of me, because I'm really handsome, that would be great. So what I'm trying to do is, I've just been doing an experiment for the past week. I'm trying to take one good photo a day. And I'm not a photographer, I'm just trying to learn. So I take a photo, I show it to a professional photographer, he gives me like tips, this is good, this is bad, this is what you should be looking at. And then I put it on Instagram, and I get instant feedback about whether the photo is good or not, because if people like it, it's good. If they don't like it, it's not so good. And I figure over the course of a year, doing one photo a day, maybe I'll learn how to be a better photographer. But one thing I realized, it's really hard to do one good thing a day, whether it's writing or a photograph or coming up with a business idea or making a sales call. Everyone's like, oh, you gotta be productive all day long. No, it's hard to do one thing. This is the one thing I'm doing today. I can't do anything else. I was nervous all day for this, and now I'm here. So listen, I have one bad news, one announcement though I have to tell you. How many people here are aged 25 to 50 and have at least 1,000 Facebook friends? Raise your hand. A lot of you have a lot of friends. So the bad news is, statistically speaking, 4 or 5 of your Facebook friends are gonna die this year. I'm sorry, you can't do anything about it. It's the truth. So I just needed to tell you that. Nobody told me to back up. So I've started a bunch of businesses, and I'm sure you've been hearing this all day. I won't bore you with how hard it is. We all know how hard it is to build a business, but it's also hard to be an employee. It's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a husband. It's hard to be, whatever you want to do is like really, if you want to do it well, it's really hard. So I'm not going to bore you with how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. Okay, you got to learn sales. You have to learn what to do when your employees are having sex with each other. That's actually, everybody talks about like leadership, motivation, inspiration, vision. No, your 2 best employees are going to start having sex with each other, and then you're in trouble. Then the business is in trouble. So you've got to solve that problem. By the way, if you'll notice my style, I'm going to talk to you for like 14 minutes of this BS stuff, and then in the final minute, I'm actually going to give you a way to make money. But just bear with me. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my own experience. I started a company. I've started a bunch of companies. I've started like 18 companies, and maybe 15 of them were total abject failures. But some of them, the worst part is when you have a success. Because when you have a successful company, you actually think for a brief second that or I'll tell you what I thought, I'm the smartest person in the world. There is nobody smarter than me in this planet because I just sold my company. So that's the problem. That's your danger point. And so, oh, I'm competing with the microphone guy over there. So, shut up. So here's the problem. Once I thought I was smart, I thought, oh, I'll just buy a house. I'll buy this art. I'll invest in this other company. I'll take a helicopter propeller to Atlantic City and gamble half my money away. So I was I was like a drunken rock star on steroids. So fast forward a little bit, there was one period in the summer after I sold one of my companies, I literally lost $1 million a week. And I'm not, that sounds like bragging, like, oh, I could fucking lose $1 million a week. But I remember one time I looked at my ATM machine and I had $143 left in my bank account. I thought, oh my gosh, I had won the lottery. I'm actually an idiot, and somehow I had won the lottery and I blew it. So I did what any normal, so making a long story short, because I only have like a few minutes, my wife left me, I lost my house, and I lost my kids. And then I did what any normal human being would do. I put an ad on Craigslist and I said, I'm psychic, and please send me an email with any question you want. So I went out to lunch, the diner, the Red Flame Diner on 44th Street and 6th. I went out to lunch, had a turkey sandwich, came back, I had hundreds of emails from people asking me questions. So of course, instantly trashed all the emails from men and started opening the other emails. And I was responding to them, and I was getting into dialogues and emailing back and forth. Eventually, I would admit, wasn't really a psychic. My whole Craigslist ad it was great. It was like a science fiction story. I said I had hurt my head in a bicycle accident, and ever since I became conscious, I was psychic. So I should start a business based on this. So, entrepreneur. So I became friends with many of these people afterwards. But then the unusual thing is, like, I called up my mom the next day, and I was all upset. All this bad stuff was happening to me. And she's like, wait a second. You did what? And I said, I wrote this. I was so pathetic. I wrote this ad that I was a psychic. And all these people wrote to me, and I started all these dialogues. And so my mom asked what any concerned Jewish mother would ask her son. Did you fuck any of them? And I said, Mom, no. Could you look at me? You created me. Of course, this situation did not do that. But what happened was I was literally on the floor. Like, I couldn't figure out what to do. I lost all my money. I had nothing. I had 2 children to support, and I didn't know what was going to happen in my life. And you can't just come up with ideas and start making money. You can't even get a job when you're in a situation like that. You're depressed. So I kind of said to myself, you know what? This is like the 10th time this has happened. Not the first or the second or the third. Like, how could this be happening to me again? You ever have that feeling, like, raise your hand if this is true. You ever have that feeling, that exact words in your mind? How can this happen to me again? Okay, you people over there are lying, but you guys are okay. It's happened to everybody. So I'm thinking this, and I said to myself, okay, what always was working for me on the way up, and what was always working for me on the way down? And so many things kind of came to mind, and it's almost like a cliche. Like, that's why I hate self-help books or self-help courses or anything like that. No offense to anybody who charges $50,000 for their self-help course, but it's so simple. What was working for me on the way up, I started doing what I call my daily practice. So I started every day trying to improve 1% physically, meaning I would sleep 8 hours a day, I would try to eat well, and I would try to exercise. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Emotional. Every day I would try to get rid of toxic people in my life and improve my relationships with people who are good to me. And by the way, people don't get a second chance. If someone's toxic, they're in the penalty box. If they're toxic again, they're out. Third thing is mental. So people don't realize this. The brain has all this, what's called plasticity. Your brain moves around depending on how you use it. Like your neurons move around. So if you have an accident, a bike accident, and you're in bed for 2 weeks or even a month, you can't walk. Your leg muscles atrophy so fast that you need physical therapy to walk again. Well, when's the last time you exercised your idea muscle? So what I realized for myself was my idea muscle had totally atrophied. So I took a waiter's pad, and I would write down 10 ideas a day, 10 bad ideas a day. Why a waiter's pad? Good question. I'm glad you asked that. So a waiter's pad is 10 cents a pad. So anytime you're in a meeting with a waiter's pad, by the way, people say, why do you have a waiter's pad? No. Here's what they say. When you have a waiter's pad in a meeting, I will guarantee you someone will say, I'll take fries with that burger. The same joke happens every time. Doesn't matter if you're meeting like a billionaire or the janitor, they always make the same joke. And then you say, no, I'm frugal. A waiter's pad is 10 cents a pad on Amazon, so they appreciate it. The other thing about a waiter's pad is you can't write a novel on a waiter's pad. You could just bullet point items. So it's easy to write 10 items, fits in my shirt pocket. I love and it's always a conversation piece. So you become the center of attention, which, as you could tell, I'm the center of attention right now. So I write down 10 ideas a day. They don't have to. People say ideas are a dime a dozen. Execution is everything. That's kind of BS. It's really hard. Just like it's hard to come up with a good photo, it's hard to come up with a good idea. If you write 10 ideas a day, that's 3,650 ideas a year. You can do math. One of them might be a good idea. By the way, execution is a subset of ideas. So when I did come up with a good idea for a business, the next day I wrote down 10 ideas I can execute on this business. So if your idea muscle is good, you'll get better at execution, you'll get better at leadership, you'll get better at salesmanship, you'll get better at entrepreneurship. Everything comes, I could tell you, because I've been writing about this now for 6 years, this one concept. I get emails every day. I've been doing the 10 ideas a day. This is what's happened. I don't get the emails from people who committed suicide, but I do get emails from the people where it worked. And I could tell you this idea seems to work for the people who didn't commit suicide. The fourth thing is what I call difficult gratitude problems. So it's really easy for me to be grateful for my kids. Sometimes not so easy, let's be realistic. My 17-year-old is like, whatever. I'm not going to complain about her. She's beautiful. But we had traffic coming here from the city. So there was like an accident. There was those traffic coordinators who literally should not be working anywhere. They should be like in a facility for like ex-traffic workers. And they're like blocking off lanes to the Holland Tunnel to make more traffic. So it took us an hour to go 3 blocks. And so how do you be grateful for something like that? I'm going to be late to give this talk. Well, I'm going to be grateful by saying I live in the most amazing city in the world. Everybody wants to be here. And by the way, on a Friday afternoon that's nice, everybody wants to get the hell out, just like me. And so you find ways to it's a muscle also. You find ways to be grateful in the most difficult situations. Believe it or not, starting from that foundation of 4 things, physical, emotional, mental, gratitude, it's totally a cliche. I'm sorry to be telling you this, but if all you do is that, you'll be an entrepreneur and you'll be a very successful one. I know because I started doing that and suddenly I've never stopped since that day. I do it every day and opportunities are like ridiculous how fast they come. By the way, not just opportunities to be an entrepreneur. Making money and entrepreneurship are not the same thing. You could be a rich employee too. You could be a poor entrepreneur. You could be a lifestyle entrepreneur. There's many ways you could sell things. You could introduce 2 people who make $1 billion deal and you could get a cut of it. I've made money that way. I've made money since 2010. I've made all my money back and then some, but I haven't been an entrepreneur once since then. You make money from every year I try to open up a new stream of income for myself based on these ideas I have. So, I'm going to give you one idea to make money. This is critical. You're all an expert in something, okay? I don't care what it is. I just was interviewing Tony Hawk a few weeks ago. Tony Hawk was a skateboarder and he made $100 million. So if someone could ride a skateboard for 20 years and make $100 million, doesn't matter what you're interested in, you can make money. So you're all an expert in something. Write down or make a video that kind of teaches other people how to be an expert just like you are. Or you know what? You don't even have to be an expert. Learn something and then write about what you learned and make a free report. Make a Facebook ad or an ad wherever that's cheap and say, hey, get my free report on how to set up a dental practice or whatever it is. You'll have a multi-million-dollar dental practice, interview 100 dentists and explain how they did it. Write your free report. Give the free report away from people who click on the Facebook ad, but only if they sign up for your email list. Now you have a big email list, and there's ways to make it bigger and bigger, and then simply sell stuff on your email list. What do you sell? Maybe you sell an advanced course, or maybe you sell, I don't know, other people's courses about dental practices. Make sure you believe in everything you sell. Don't be as scammy. I know one guy who was selling the Jesus Christ diet, like what would Jesus eat? Like that's kind of scammy. But I'll tell you what, he did the exact same technique and now he's living in a penthouse somewhere in India. But just that one technique, building an email list, every entrepreneur I know right now is successful, not everyone, but let's say 80% is successful because they have this enormous email list and then they're able to either sell their own products on it, who have raise their hands and say, I want to see more products from you, or they sell other people's products on it then people trust that they're going to come up with the right products. So you have to build trust too with your email list. You keep putting free content out onto the free email list. Anyway, that's the 1 minute of how to make money. It works. I've seen it work 1,000 times. It's hard not to be profitable doing it. I do it. It makes a lot of money. I'm not advertising anything right now. Just telling you what to do for free. Don't even join my email list. I don't give a shit if you do or not. But I wanted to tell this one friend of mine wrote me, and I saw this email like years later. I don't know how I missed it. He was one of my favorite writers, and he said, "How can I make money on my books? And I want to set up a publishing company." And I was thinking, boy, this guy's one of my favorite writers. So finally, I saw this email from him. I missed it like years later. So I look him up on Facebook, and I'm starting to send him a message. Michael, you're one of my favorite writers. Here's the idea I have for you. Anyway, he's dead. I'm alive.